You guys. Okay, so listen, it all started, right? These older generation. Listen, there's certain things that just make everything make a lot of sense, right? Now let's just backtrack, right? So one day, like, I don't know, sometime last year, I was watching the Cancelled podcast, right? And Tana said something so funny that I cried of laughter, and it sent me down a thought track, right? And she goes, what did she said? They were talking about Coachella, and then she goes, why was there even like pregnant women at Coachella? Can we actually talk about lobotomies? And it was so funny. I just thought it was so funny because I never knew what those were. And I just looked into it right now because I don't know, just randomly came into my mind when I was getting out of the shower. Anyway, and as I was looking into just the history of it all, it just made the whole older generation make a lot of sense. And also trust the science, right? Trust the science. Because the people then, they were trusting the science. Like, this is why I think people putting their trust in science, to me, is the wildest thing ever. Like, science is always like 100,000 bajillion years behind. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. But we'll come to that part. The first part I want to talk about is just, it all makes sense now. Like, you, in the past, right, in the previous generations, going outside the grain, not going along with whatever was the perceived way of supposed to be living, was considered something is actually wrong with you. Like, something is wrong in your brain. When I was looking at them, how they did these procedures, because obviously they did the prefrontal one first, and then they did the, what was it, like transdermal lobotomies afterwards, right? Because the pre-dermal ones were taking so long, right? They took too long to do because they'd have to have all these surgeons, all these specialist equipment to be able to open up your brain and cut into things. And then the transdermal ones where they would just like electric shock you to this is what I'm saying. Like, scientists really don't know a lot. Like, this is what I'm saying. They're just trying stuff and they're just like, we'll just see what happens. Like, that's being a scientist. You're just experimenting. You're just an experiment. That's why I say to you guys, I hate having free will because this is what I do. I like to just experiment with things. And then listen, I have to just pay the price on the other side. I'm like, oh, well. But yeah, so it's just so funny to me how this is the developmental science. This is the science that you people all trusted in, number one. And this is how science is. You just try things. They just try things. They don't know how it's going to go. They do whatever they know based on the lacking human understanding that they have, right? Even, I told you guys, even ChatGPT agreed with me when I asked it. I was like, so is there a reality where at some point or in the future or near future, we realize that everything that we thought was potentially completely wrong and based off of wrong things? And because we've only been able to know so much based on the humans that were alive, the amount of time we had and the resources that were put into, and the biases of what people decided to research into and trial and test in the first place. And ChatGPT was like, to be fair, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the first funniest thing, that like all this trust the science. People think they're smart trusting the science. This is the science, you guys. And it actually makes me laugh because when they were describing it, like, and I was, when I was looking into what the issues were, people were like, and then they realized that there was a sudden change in the person's personality. Like, oh, really? Messing with their brain. And there's a sudden change in personality. Go freaking figure. Just like the birth control. Oh, you're putting hormones that goes into your full bloodstream that goes around your whole body. It's not targeted just in your womb. It's in your full bloodstream. It goes all in your body, all through your brain, all through everywhere. But we're surprised that there's other side effects that we didn't think about. Trust the science, though. Yeah, trust the science. Trust the science. Yeah. Before my favorite scientist came along, Gregor Mendel, right? We believed all children were 50-50 of their parents. It's the most dumbest thing that anybody ever accepted that in science, because look at any parent with more than one child. All the children come out completely differently, completely different personalities, completely different blends of whatever. That was all because of Gregor Mendel. And guess what was the best part about that? The scientific community at the time didn't even understand that, right? Because he was a mathematician. So all of his work was written like maths, right? So it was only after he died that somebody managed to interpret it, because the biologists didn't even get it, because biologists are not mathematicians, even though they should really be. All scientists should be strong in maths. That's why I don't know why the things are even, anyway, whatever, won't go down that rabbit hole today. But that's what people believed, even though it was clearly whatever, like, oh yeah, it messes somebody's brain, maybe, just maybe. And then they were like, I remember one of this video I saw about the lobotomies thing, right? One of these videos, it was like, at the end, but then in the 1960s, they realized the tranquilizers were a lot better because they had better effects and it was more easy to control the outcomes, and with da 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 da. And then the next thing, no, that was in the 1940s, like in the 1940s. It's like in the 1960s. By that time, lobotomies were considered to be something only seen in horror films, and da da da. And I'm just like, this is how stupid and dumb we are. Like, this is how dumb and dense. Like, this is why I'm not looking back. I'm only looking forward. Like, I'm so sorry. The world that I live in now was created by whoever came before me, and it's looking horrific. And every time I hear these things, this is why I'm crying of laughter at this stuff. This is why I'm thinking this is a joke. It's a joke. And for the older generations to have the absolute audacity to be looking down at us, calling us the problem, saying what happened to us, what happened to you guys? You got lobotomies! I got it now! I got it now. Y'all got lobotomies. You guys, I was supposed to film another video before this, right? And as I was just wrapping up my thoughts, I just started, I could not, but trust the science. Trust the science. Trust the science. We're so about trusting the science. And then, do you know the best bit is going to be? Something that we're doing now, watch, when I'm older and I'm old, there's going to be another thing that we're all doing now that's just fine. Like, because I was thinking about this even with the pregnant women thing, right? And how, like, before, you know, pregnant women would smoke, pregnant women would drink. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's pregnant. Like, don't smoke. We're so smart because we know there's probably something else. There's probably another thing and another thing. And this is why I believe in trusting in God. And this is why I believe that the trick of the enemy was to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Because he's like, you're never going to know enough. You're never going to. That's why I believe science is not something that I say is wrong. It is a proof of God, but the thing is, it's limited. It's limited to our understanding. It's limited to the questions we choose to ask. It's limited to our experiences. It's limited to what those before us have done. It's limited towards the time that we have. We only have so much time. We don't have eternity to learn everything. This is why I think it's so stupid. Like, I was hearing somebody talk about the guy, you know, that dude, Brian, some so-and-so, who's like spent basically his I don't know where he got all this money from, but hey, people get money and shout out to him. Who spent all of his money essentially like creating his whole, like essentially he's spent all this money doing all these things to increase his life by like 5 years, because he believes that in 10 years time we would have developed technology where we may even be able to become immortal. You don't even know if you're going to be here in 10 years. You don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow. You're going and taking some kind of pharmaceutical medication and trusting in the science and trusting what these people, you don't know what's in the thing that they're asking you to take. You don't know what's in that thing. You don't know how they got to that information. You're just going along with what you're being told. And hence why, I get why, because if you guys didn't do that in the previous generations, y'all be getting lobotomies. It's crazy. I actually think it's crazy. Oh, wow. Because I was thinking, what was the reasoning for this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, there was the disobedient wife thing. Honestly, in this day and age, if I would rather get an lobotomy, because, bro, I'd rather have that than be knowingly know that I'm being mistreated. You know what I'm saying? And here's the other thing. It's like the schizophrenia thing. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, right? But one of the symptoms, coinkadinkly, of schizophrenia is believing that the government is after you. How? Show me the neurotransmitters. Let's all talk about chemicals and chemical imbalances, which I'm going to talk about chemicals and chemical imbalances in a separate video, by the way, because I have a lot to say about this. Everyone thinks they know so much now. Like, they're like, oh, I was struggling with this or struggling, but now I know what it is because it's just a chemical imbalance. And guess what causes chemical imbalances? Experiences. So when you're seeing a chemical imbalance in your brain, yes, it is there. Yes, there is proof. You know why? Because that's how it's supposed to be. God created there to be a connection between spirit and science. Hello. Science is supposed to be proof of the spiritual. It's just that because you guys listen and got you lobotomies, right? And you've only gone and listened to your actual enemy, you're right? Your actual enemy, the devil, right? You've now believed the lie that those two things should be separated from each other. Do you guys see where I'm coming from? So that's the problem here. So yeah, but anyways, we've got a lot to say about that probably in another video. I'm still stewing on that thought of just this, how am I going to connect the idea so that people can understand that there's not a disconnect. One thing is proving another. It's almost as if like how you can say that waves prove that there is wind, right? Like the other day when it was raining and you guys saw me, I can't see the wind, right? I couldn't see the wind, but I could see that the rain was being pushed to the left and I could see all the rain going to the left. So am I going to just say, oh, you know what, some brains just go to the left? That's what I'm saying when people like chemical imbalance. It's like, of course, there's a cause for that to happen. But anyway, we're not ready for that conversation. We are on the winning team. We're ready over here. I'm just the one who's not ready because I need to figure out how I'm going to articulate this in a way that's going to be the most helpful. But I had to get this off my chest because this lobotomy malarkey is it's just at a different level, and it's just funny. It really is. And the reasoning is, and then the shock of the results. Oh no, we are surprised that this changed how this made people function. Oh no, this person seemed to no longer be themselves and to just whatever. Oh, it's almost as if that the brain is supposed to being thinking consciously and having your own thoughts and being a critical thinker is a part of, and this is how we got to where we are now. This is why the world is the way that it is. We've normalized historically. You go with the flow. You go with what you're being told to think and what you're being told to whatever. And as soon as you don't do that, there's something wrong with you. You need a mental health disorder. You're a conspiracy theorist. Anyways, guys, I've got other videos I want to film today as well. So buckle up, stay tuned, because this planet is not just the gift that keeps on giving, but the gift that won't stop giving. And when I heard this, the more I hear about what went down in the generations before me, like, because obviously I do a lot of I've done a lot of research, like, of the bigger history, but looking back at like the last 100 years, 200 years, like not just the stuff they tried to teach us in school, right? So fascinating, like, that people just did this stuff and now we're like, oh no, maybe this is bad. Like, everyone used to smoke. Oh no, maybe smoking is bad for us. It's like, when are we learn? When are we actually going to realize that maybe we shouldn't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? Maybe knowing good and evil, maybe we don't have the capacity to know everything we need to know in the short existence we have, in the limited experience we all individually have. Maybe, just maybe, there was a reason why God said, if you eat from the tree, you shall surely die. You will walk yourself into destruction, my friends. You will walk yourself to hell, your damn selves. Look at the state of the world. The world is a result of us as humans thinking we know what we are doing, and we have never been in a worse state, in my humble opinion. People are on like 8 drugs these days. Relationships are in tatters in all areas, right? And friendships, whatever, jobs, it's just crazy. We've accepted that you just hate your job, or you just spend most of your life doing things that you don't really want to do for the sake of a tiny amount of time to do the things that you would like to do. If you even have things you would like to do or can afford them or have whatever. And anyway, if life's a game, let's play to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I will see you in my next one.